I want to give a quick introduction to the main part of the video that you're about to see with the demo. Um, what I've done is I've completely automated the bootstrapping of a Kubernetes cluster with a coding agent called Claude Code. And in order to do that, I've created a markdown plan that the agent follows. And I've adapted the tutorial of Kelsey Hightower's Kubernetes the hard way. So we're not using kubeadm or any managed Kubernetes service or anything like that. We're completely bootstrapping from scratch our entire Kubernetes cluster. We're copying the binaries in, installing them, setting up all the components and networking needed for a Kubernetes cluster. All right, so let's test this out. Let's see if we can get our agent to autonomously just bootstrap the whole Kubernetes cluster by following the plan I've created. So first we need our terminal. In the bottom window here, I've already SSH'd into each of the VMs, but there's no Kubernetes infra set up on there, right? So we can SSH into the jump box, try to run a kubectl, get nodes or something. It doesn't work. You can SSH into the server, run kubectl. This is our control plane. It doesn't even have kubectl CLI tool installed. So these are fresh VMs. No Kubernetes configurations have been set up at all. So now I'm going to ask Claude to follow the plan that I've created, which is a 500 line markdown file, to set up and bootstrap the cluster autonomously. Follow the setup Kubernetes markdown file, which contains the plan for bootstrapping our Kubernetes cluster. Follow the file at the beginning and work through every step in the plan and only the steps in the plan to bootstrap the Kubernetes file cluster. Okay, so we give it our command, and what it's doing is it's using this giant markdown file. I've iterated on it with Claude Code to make sure it has everything it needs to bootstrap the cluster by itself without any intervention from me. This is kind of like a form of prompt or context engineering from a user perspective, making sure your agent has everything it needs to do what you would want it to do. The only thing you'll see me do is click 1 to accept the commands that it wants to run. I'm not going to run it in YOLO mode because I'm still not comfortable with that. But it is running on my machine, reading through this plan and running commands via SSH on my different VMs for setting up the cluster. We're going to work through this stuff. I might fast forward through some of the steps so you don't have to just watch me click accept over and over. And I'm going to kind of talk through what each step is doing, and so maybe I'll slow down the video on certain steps so I can explain what the agent is doing. Yep, so it's just verified that these Kubernetes components are active by running systemctl is active on containerd, kubelet, kubeproxy. Okay, so now everything's been bootstrapped. And so we want to test that our Kubernetes system is fully functional. So we have this smoke test section from the tutorial where we're going to test each various functionalities of Kubernetes to make sure that they're bootstrapped correctly and working correctly. So we'll create a secret. The script is going to sleep, run the command again to get information about that Nginx app. If we want to kind of work alongside the agent, we can run some commands. So cpl, kubectl get nodes. We see our nodes here. They've just been started. So yeah, that's it. My Kubernetes cluster is bootstrapped. I didn't have to do anything but just click accept. And if I wanted to run it in YOLO mode, I could just let it run things without needing my input. This whole project has been really interesting, getting familiar working with agents, um, how to work with agents. I might create a separate video on this so it don't take too much time in this video, but one of the key things I learned is working from a plan. You don't want to talk directly to the agent um, and expect that to persist. The agent's contexts are very limited compared to a human. They can't, work on something, go to sleep the next day, have that in that context in the back of their mind and their, subconscious that helps them get better and better over time. So there's no um, what you call continuous online learning. But if you understand something about some things about context engineering, you can have a educated approach to interacting with the agents. And so part of my educated approach through trial and error through reading is I've created my plan. It's 500 plus lines of instructions to give all of the necessary context to my agent so that when it uh, reaches the end of its context window, which it will do several times through the course of a project, and then it has to basically start a new context window. It doesn't get lost because this is one of the biggest issues with the agents is their memory systems are not very um, reliable. What Claude will do, which is clever but it's not completely effective, is when it gets to the end of its context window, it'll compress by summarizing the most important, what it thinks are the most important points of that conversation, and then adding them to as basically like a system prompt, which gets loaded into the next context window, so that you can continue interacting with Claude, and it doesn't seem like uh, a person with retrograde amnesia, right, where you walk out of the room and you come back and they forget who you are. It still needs to be worked out, these memory systems. So one of the ways you can uh, improve your experience is to follow a plan, a markdown. These agents understand markdown pretty well, and just update the plan. Have the agent work through the plan. If something messes up, you can talk back and forth with the agent, but it's important that you put that whatever you've changed or decided on doing into the plan so that when you restart Claude Code or when its context window ends, it can pick up where you left off and not get completely lost. And so, yeah, that's one of the ways you can try to put some guardrails on the non-deterministic nature of these things. But this has been really fun learning about Kubernetes, learning about agents at the same time. I'm going to add this repo to the video description, and you guys can clone it down, set up your own Google Cloud project, and then follow the same steps, and you should be able to get pretty much the same results once you have your SSH, um, set up properly if you have the same keys um, in the same directory as I do. Yeah, so that's it.